Mike Pidgelazzi. Hello and welcome to Susan McEachern Memorial Ball Field in Sydney, Nova Scotia for the opening game of the 2022 Men's National Baseball Canada Championships. Our opening game here is the Dartmouth Mooseheads taking on the Elmwood Giants. The Giants out of Manitoba, the Dartmouth Mooseheads out of right here in Nova Scotia. And we got the leadoff batter stepping in right now. It is the center fielder, Chris Head. We'll take you through the full Dartmouth lineup and the full defensive setup here momentarily. And here comes the opening pitch. Missing just a bit down and outside. After Chris Head, the center fielder, it will be Chris Thibodeau, the shortstop. Ty Doucette, the first baseman. Batting fourth, the second baseman, Anthony McKinley. Batting fifth will be Colby Turple. Batting sixth, the third baseman, Jalen Trider. Batting seventh, playing left field, Jack Fader. Batting eighth, the catcher, Dan Como. And batting ninth, Dan's brother, the designated hitter, Teddy Como. And pitching for Dartmouth today will be Cody Schreider. And we'll set the defense for you in just a moment as well for the Giants, as the leadoff walk for Head gets things rolling for the Mooseheads here in the top of the first inning. And setting up that defense, we'll start with the outfield from left to right. It's Steve Pritchard, Chris Moffat, and Chris Norkey. Around the infield, third base, Dan Carter, shortstop, Garrett Popplestone, and the Boudreau brothers on the right side of the infield, playing second base, Colton Boudreau, and first base, Brett Boudreau. Behind the plate, calling the pitches is Nathan Chrischuk, and throwing those pitches is number 34, Neil Walton. So it is Chris Thibodeau up to bat right now, his first plate appearance of this national championship, as there's one on and nobody out here in the top of the first. That one skied out to center field, working his way over to make the catch, Chris Moffat, and he gets under it for the first out of the inning. That'll bring up first baseman Ty Doucette.
All right.
Doucette stepping in to bat left-handed. Doucette with a little bit of power from the left side. He'll be one to watch carefully here throughout this tournament. Of course, all 8 of the teams here at the Nationals have their share of power hitters. There was a home run derby here last night. I wasn't able to get here for it, unfortunately, but from all accounts, plenty of power showcased throughout the evening. There's a delivery just missing a little bit low there from Walton. So Doucette ahead in the count now. A beautiful ball diamond here in Sydney. Today was my first time getting to this diamond, and absolutely gorgeous facility here. It's got the turf infield with the natural grass outfield and foul territories. It's just absolutely breathtaking. There's a strike painting the outside corner to Doucette. I believe we're at a count of 3-1 if I've been keeping track properly. That one misses inside, and it is indeed ball 4. So a pair of walks from Walton puts runners on first and second, now one away. And that brings up the second baseman, Anthony McKinley. So Walton with a couple of control issues here in the early going, getting himself into a little bit of a jam. Let's see if he can work his way out of it. Gets McKinley swinging on the first pitch there. And he gets ahead in the count on McKinley, 0-1. able to fire another one right in there. Now he's up in the count 0-2 on the Dartmouth Mooseheads second baseman. Team used to be referred to as Dartmouth Moosehead Dry, now just called the Mooseheads. And a swing and a miss. Strikeout for the second out of the inning. That'll bring up the right fielder now, Colby Turple, for his first plate appearance of the tournament. And just to let you know, we are going to be keeping track of all of the games going on over at the other Ball Diamond as well. We've got the New Brunswick representative from Charlottetown, Prince Edward Island. I know we'll talk more about why that is later on. But they are taking the British Columbia champions, Kamloops Sun Devils, in the game being played over at Jerry Marsh Field right now. They're still in the top of the first inning there, no score, but the bases loaded with one out for New Brunswick. Again, we will keep you up to date throughout the game on that one. As Walton misses outside and getting behind in the count here on the Dartmouth right fielder, Colby Turple. 2 games today on AOTV, 2 games tomorrow. That one fouled back. 4 games Saturday, including a pair of quarterfinals, and then 4 more games on Sunday, all the way through to the championship game, 7:30 Sunday night, to determine the top senior men's team in Baseball Canada. Walton gets himself set. And here comes the pitch. Misses outside. And I believe we're looking at a full count now. Oh, 3-1, excuse me. So 3-1 the count right now on Turple. Danger of walking the bases loaded. And he does. That'll bring up the third baseman, Jalen Trider, here with bases loaded and 2 away. This could be one of the key at-bats of this game. Could change things significantly one way or the other, as with the bases loaded here and 2 out, it's either going to be getting out of a big jam or extending a big jam here. But Walton finding the zone there. As the Islanders have put up 2 on the board, still batting in the top of the first inning on Kamloops. Again, we will keep you up to date on that game as it continues. There's a bouncer off the end of the bat, bouncing out from behind the plate to get it is Christuk, and able to throw it down to first in time to get the out and get Elmwood out of a big jam in the top of the first inning. No runs, no hits, but 3 runners left on base. And for the Mooseheads, a story of a missed opportunity there in the top of the first. We'll head to the bottom of the first with still no runs on the board yet. Let's take you through the Elmwood starting lineup. Leading off, it will be the catcher who made that nice defensive play to end the top of the first inning, Nathan Christuk. Batting first, Kyle Armstrong, the DH, bats second. Dan Carter, the third baseman, will bat third. In the cleanup spot, it's Chris Norkey, and if I am mispronouncing any names, please do send me a message on Twitter. My Twitter handle is @PetterPC_sports. Again, that's Petter, as in my last name, Michael Petter, PC_sports. So if I'm getting a name mispronounced or anything like that, please do send me a correction. You can also reach me through Facebook. My Facebook address is facebook.com/pettersports. And you can send me a message that way as well. Steve Pritchard bats 5th and plays left field for the Elmwood Giants. Chris Moffat, the center fielder, batting 6th. Brett Boudreau, the first baseman, bats 7th. Garrett Popplestone, the shortstop, bats 8th. And Colton Boudreau, the second baseman, will bat 9th, while Neil Walton is the Elmwood pitcher. Pitcher's not batting in this, as we do have the DHs. And setting up the Dartmouth outfield or defense very quickly, starting in the outfield from left to right, Jack Fader, Chris Head, Colby Turple. Around the infield, it's Jalen Trider at third, Chris Thibodeau at short, Anthony McKinley playing second base, Ty Doucette at first, Dan Comeau behind the plate, and Cody Schreider is your starting pitcher for the Dartmouth Mooseheads. And that one fouled off well down the first base side. So Chrischuk making contact but not able to get that ball in play. Setting up way outside on that pitch was Dan Comeau. And hitting the target was Schreider, but couldn't get Chrischuk to chase on that one. Breaking pitch does get Chrischuk there, and I was a little bit behind. I missed a pitch somewhere along the way, as that's a strikeout, catching him looking for the first out of the bottom of the first inning. Okay, there we go. Bottom, 1 out. And the bases are empty for the DH, Kyle Armstrong. And a first pitch strike to Armstrong there. As Schreider working quickly here in the first, gets Armstrong to chase that one, and he's ahead 0-2. The forecast was calling for rain during this game. Right now we've got some cloud around us, certainly, but looks like Mother Nature's going to at least try to cooperate a bit. A little bit of gray skies off towards the right field side, but hopefully the wind will blow that away, not towards us. Speaking of the right field side, there's a foul ball into right foul territory. Hustling over to try to get to it was the first baseman, Ty Doucette. Couldn't quite get there in time. And so that'll be a pitch that keeps the count at 1-2, as it was already a 1-2 count. Cody Schreider getting back over to the mound. And just taking a quick look, the Charlottetown Goody Auto Body Islanders still that one skied into the third base foul territory, and going over and making the catch himself is the pitcher Cody Schreider for the second out of the inning. That'll bring up third baseman Dan Carter. Normally, if you're watching Major League Baseball on TV, the pitchers don't go after balls like that. They leave it for the other fielders, but don't tell that to Cody Schreider. He went over there and hustled to get there and make the catch for out number 2. Nice breaking pitch right on the inside corner. And Schreider pitching with a lot of confidence right now. Misses just outside with the fastball. And I believe we're at a count of 2-1. I say I believe because I never quite trust myself with some umpires who aren't quite as expressive with their ball and strike calls. That was a definite strike, and so it is now 2-2. Grounder down to short. Gathered up by Thibodeau across the diamond in time. And a quick 1-2-3 inning. No runs, no hits, no errors, nobody left on base. We've played one complete here at Susan McEachern Memorial Ballfield. And the score is the Dartmouth Mooseheads 0, the Elmwood Giants 0. Due up in the top of the second inning, it'll be Jack Fader, Dan Como, and Teddy Como. And while we've got a moment here, I just want to tell a little bit about this field. It's called Susan McEachern Memorial Ballfield, and obviously named for Susan McEachern, who was the wife of Jim Rico McEachern, who is the manager, general manager and coach of the Sydney Sooners, who are the home team here. Susan McEachern was Rico's wife. As mentioned, she passed away as a result of cancer. So you might notice right in behind our pitcher out there warming up right now, you might notice that logo behind second base. You can't quite see it really well from any of the camera angles we have, unfortunately, but it is a daffodil, as Susan passed away as a result of cancer, unfortunately. So the official flower of the Canadian Cancer Society out there right behind second base to honor Susan. And what a way to honor her with this beautiful ballpark. As we get Jack Fader up to the plate, the left-handed hitting left fielder steps in. So Neil Walton was able to get out of trouble in the first inning. Let's see if he can avoid trouble completely here in the second. First pitch misses a little bit high and outside for ball one. A line shot, one hopper right to the second baseman. Difficult play for Colton Boudreau, but he makes the play, getting the ball over to his brother Brett in time for the first out of the inning. That'll bring up catcher Dan Como for his first plate appearance of the weekend. And that in-between hop, one of the most difficult plays for any infielder, but handled very well there by Colton Boudreau. That one misses a little bit high. So Como gets ahead in the count here, 1-0. Oh. Should be one out there. There we go. Sorry about that, folks. Here comes the next offering from Walton. Foul down the third base side. And into the fencing there, just in front of our third base camera operator. I know she can't hear me right now, but I have to send a big shout out to our third base camera operator. And not just because I'm married to her. My wife Karen agreeing to come out and help out this weekend with operating the camera. Very much appreciated. As Como continues to bat here with one away in the top of the second inning. And he takes a called third strike. Second K of the afternoon for Neil Walton. And that'll bring up the DH, Teddy Como, Dan's brother. So both of these teams with sets of brothers. You got the Boudreau brothers on one side and the There we have Como batting, and he's the 9th batter in the lineup for the Mooseheads. Chris Head, who led off the top of the first with the leadoff walk in the on-deck circle. But Walton hoping to get himself a 1-2-3 inning after facing 6 batters in the first. Fouled off by Como. And fouled that one right off of his foot, so taking a minute to walk that off. Not that I blame him. Steps back in, we're ready to go here. And here comes the, I believe, 2-2 offering. Grounder down to short. Gathered up easily by Popplestone across the diamond in time. And a routine 3 up, 3 down inning in the top of the second. No runs, no hits, no errors, nobody left on base. We've played an inning and a half, and we're still looking for the first run of the ball game. Due up in the bottom of the second for the Elmwood Giants. It's Chris Norkey, Steve Pritchard, and Chris Moffett. And as the Dartmouth Mooseheads take to the field, telling you a little bit about the Mooseheads. They are here after winning the Nova Scotia Senior Baseball League provincial title for the 22nd time in franchise history. They went 17-5 through the regular season. And then they went on to sweep the Sydney Sooners in the finals. So the Sooners, as the host team, they're not just, in here just because they're hosting. They were the Nova Scotia runners-up this season. And so Nova Scotia representative and champions, the Dartmouth Mooseheads, and 3-time national champions, as well as 22-time provincial champions. So this is a team with a lot of history to it. And Chris Norkey leading off here, the right fielder. Stepping in for the Elmwood Giants, and we'll tell you a little bit of the Giants story going into the top of the third. And it's an interesting story for them. We talk about, a storied franchise in Dartmouth. This Giants franchise has got a lot of history to it as well. That pitch just misses, and it's 2-1. Norkey, the right fielder, as mentioned. Grounder down to second. Gathered in by McKinley. And easily over to first for the first out of the inning. That'll bring up the left fielder, Steve Pritchard. As the Giants still looking to get their first base runner this afternoon. Cody Schreider enjoying a comfortable afternoon so far on the mound, getting ahead on a lot of pitches, or I believe that's a first pitch strike for at least 4 of the 5 batters he's faced. And now he's ahead in the count 0-2. And you can tell that Schreider is comfortable out there by the pace that he is pitching with. And I don't mean the velocity on the ball. I'm talking about how quickly he gets the ball, gets back on the rubber, and gets ready to throw. He's not wasting any time out there at all. Of course, just as I say that, he shakes off 2 signs from his catcher. And that one ends up being fouled off by Pritchard. As Dan Como offered him a couple of ideas before Schreider finally saw the call that he wanted. Here comes the 1-2 pitch. Swing and a miss. Strike 3. Second strikeout for Schreider on the afternoon. And that'll bring up the center fielder, Chris Moffat. As the middle of the order represented by the outfielders here for this Giants team. It was the right fielder, the left fielder, and now center fielder Chris Moffat. And again, Schreider ahead in the count, 0-1. A lot of first pitch strikes for him. And now ahead in the count, 0-2. And of course, pitching is going to be so key in this tournament. In order to claim the national championship, you're going to have to go through 3 pool games. If you win your pool, you get to go right to the semifinals, but if you don't, you got to play a quarterfinal. So, assuming you are not your pool winner, if a non-pool winner ends up being the provincial or the national champion, they're going to have to play 6 games over 4 days. And so depth of pitching, vital for a team to have success. If you get that bye into the semifinal, you're still looking at 5 games in 4 days. So for Schreider, being efficient with his pitch counts here today obviously is going to be huge for him and for the entire Dartmouth team as they want to get their pitching staff set up for the whole week. Another one fouled back by Moffat as he's getting contact, but just a little bit underneath the ball, a little bit behind it. Not quite able to square it up just yet. There's a line shot, but it's hooked foul down the third base line. Moffat just a little bit out in front of that one. So it's still 1-2. On this Elmwood Giant center fielder. Schreider swings and fouls that one off. Having a very good at-bat here. Give Moffat credit. He is battling hard. He is making Schreider work for it. Fouling off 4 straight pitches now. Keeping this at-bat alive. Swing and a miss that time, and it's a second straight strikeout for Schreider. And a second straight 3-up, 3-down inning for the Moosehead pitcher. No runs, no hits, no errors, nobody left on base. We've played 2 complete, and we're still looking for the first run of this. Okay, so I just got called down to the canteen. So just bear with me for a second here, folks, while I go deal with that.
Burning up. So I went in to see the doctor. The doctor checks me out, sends me for a chest X-ray. How's the legs? Yeah, beautiful, unbelievable. You got first night, it was awesome. You got pneumonia. You've been dealing. You've had pneumonia. Like pneumonia won't go away. He said you had it for the last 6 months. That's why I couldn't breathe. You told me to play a whole different game. No, that was almost me. I avoided that, yeah. It didn't come out. You mind checking the hip? He didn't come out.
There we go. All right, we got that back. Oh, there we go. That's So we're back around to the top of the order here in the top of the third inning for the Dartmouth Mooseheads. Chris Head, who led off the game with a walk, got all the way around to third base before being stranded there. Told you I was going to tell you the story of the Elmwood Giants, but got a little distracted. My something of mine with my name on it fell out of my pocket, and it was found and returned, thankfully, so it's all good. There's a swing and a miss for Head, and the count 1-1 as Neil Walton out for his third inning of work. And just like we talked about with Schreider, Walton is going to... There's a shot into the gap in right center. Getting over to it in plenty of time was Chris Norkey, but it is a leadoff single for Chris Head. And now he's on base for the second consecutive plate appearance. Chris Thibodeau will now take to the plate as he is 0 for 1. He flew out to center his first time up back in the first inning. Quick update on the swing and a miss, strike one. We call it the out-of-town scoreboard, but of course, you know, both games are being played in Sydney. The game over at Jerry Marsh Field, the Charlottetown Goody Autobody Islanders leading the Kamloops Sun Devils 2-0. They're now in the bottom of the second inning over there. Here we're in the top of the third already, and runner on first base. There we go. In the event that there's anything, any discrepancies between what's actually going on and what is showing up on the scoreboard are entirely my fault. Runner going, hit and run in play, but it's skied out to left center field. Getting over and underneath it is Steve Pritchard for the second out. They had the hit and run on, but Head had to return back to first base after that high fly ball, and Pritchard with plenty of time to get under it for the first out of the inning. That'll bring up Ty Doucette. He walked in the first as well, got stranded at second base. Fouls off the first pitch this time, and the count goes 0-1. As we continue to play here at the Susan McEachern Memorial Ball Field in Sydney, opening game of the 2022 Men's Baseball Championships for Baseball Canada. 1-1 the count now on Ty Doucette, the first baseman. Runner going, a hit and run again is on. Ball knocked down by Brett Boudreau, but he wasn't able to gather it in. And so it'll be runners at first and second with one out. And that'll bring up Anthony McKinley, the second baseman. He struck out his first time up, so he's 0 for 1. Don't know how the official scorer will score that. That ball was pretty sharply hit. But I think that may end up being an E3. Swing and a miss there by McKinley. As time is called, shortstop Garrett Popplestone comes over to say something to his pitcher Neil Walton. Not quite sure what Popplestone saw, but he saw something and gave Walton a quick piece of advice. Perhaps he saw something in the way McKinley swung at that first pitch. Swing and a miss there, and the count goes 0-2. Those clouds that I mentioned that were off of the right field side of the field now are directly over us, but don't look like they're going to be actually letting anything go. Fingers crossed. That pitch misses outside, and it's now 1-2. Here comes that 1-2 pitch. That'll miss outside. It'll get past the catcher, Chrischuk, to the backstop, and that allows Head to get to third base. Doucette will reach second on the pass ball, or the wild pitch, excuse me. And that puts 2 in scoring position for McKinley. 2-2 the count. Swing and a miss, strike 3. Third K of the afternoon for Walton and second out of the inning. That'll bring up Colby Turple. He walked and was stranded at first base in the opening inning. First base is currently open. Third baseman Jalen Trider on deck as Turple sends that one out into left center. Getting over to make the catch is Steve Pritchard for his second putout of the inning. And that will bring the inning to an end. No runs, 1 hit, 1 error, and 2 runners left on base. Oh, actually the official score saying it was no runs on 2 hits. So there we go. So there you go. 2 hits. The first 2 hits of the game in the top of the third there. We'll go to the bottom of the third. And it'll be the bottom third of the order for Elmwood coming up. Brett Boudreau, Garrett Popplestone, and Colton Boudreau due up to face Cody Schreider, who is having a very good afternoon so far. So I mentioned the Elmwood Giants have a little bit of history. This team established in 1905. So safe to say no players from 1905 around to play right now. Hey, you never know. Actually, if there were no players from 1905 around right now. They play in the Winnipeg Senior Baseball League. They were champions of the 2022 season with a 12-4 record. And they have quite a few players who've played at the national championships at the U22 and at the senior levels. And stepping in is the first baseman, Brett Boudreau. That one, first pitch misses outside to Boudreau. And a rare ball 1 count for any Elmwood Giant batter so far here this afternoon. Sorry, I posted the link to this game, to these games on my Facebook page, as that one skied out to left center. Getting over and underneath it is the center fielder, Chris Head. And Head makes the catch for the first out of the third inning. And because I posted a link to a sporting event, there's quite a few bots who try to post bad links. So if you're talking to anybody else who is thinking about tuning in to watch the game, make sure they go to the correct link, not these awful links that these bots are trying to send people to. That one fouled way, way back and out of play, which gives me a chance to remind anybody, if you are going to come down to the Susan McEachern Memorial Ball Field, that one shot straight out to center And barely having to move his head. He did have to take a few steps back. But he makes his second consecutive put out of the inning. And that brings up Colton Boudreau, the second baseman. But if you are going to come down here and you do park in the parking lot, the chance of a foul ball getting all the way back there are pretty slim. But of course, as with any ball diamond, if you come down to the ballpark and you park where a ball could go, you do so at your own risk. Swing and a miss there, and it's an 0-2 count on Boudreau. So after Brett Boudreau Garrett Popplestone, got ahead in a count, which was rare for these Elmwood hitters so far. Schreider gets right back ahead in counts quickly here. That one fouled back into the screen, and the count remains 1-2 on the second baseman, who made the nice play back in the top of the second on that tough in-between hop. He was able to gather it in and make the throw for the out. This one into foul territory. Getting over and making the catch is Ty Doucette. And so 3 pop-outs and another 1-2-3 inning for Cody Schreider in the bottom of the third. And so, we've played 3 complete here in Sydney, and the Dartmouth Mooseheads and Elmwood Giants still looking for the first run of this ball game. As we get ready for the top of the fourth inning, due up for Dartmouth, it'll be the 6, 7, 8 hitters: Trider, Fader, and Como. So here is Jalen Trider. He sent one off the end of his bat just in front of home plate. It was a great play by the catcher, Nathan Krischuk, back in the first inning. So Trider 0 for 1, but takes that one right in the side. So first pitch of the inning leads to the first runner of the inning. That'll bring up Jack Fader. He grounded out to second to lead off the second. That in-between hopper that we talked about. So here comes Fader with one on, nobody out. Takes a first pitch strike on the outside corner. And the count goes to 0-1. As Walton delivers and misses outside. It looked like the ball slipped off his finger coming out of his delivery. You could sort of tell that it was a little bit off the line. Good pitch there. Although I think that was called a ball. Oh no, that was called a strike. 1-2. Unfortunately, from my broadcast position, it's sometimes hard to tell what exactly the umpire is calling there, as he's not quite as demonstrative as, or demonstrative, as some other umpires from games that I've called in the past. That one fouled well back over the screen. And now I believe we're looking at a 2-2 count. Still just the one runner on here in this top of the fourth inning of this scoreless ball game, kicking off the 2022. And the count must have been 3-2 because that is a walk for Fader. Fourth walk given up by Walton. And that'll bring up Dan Como, the catcher. He struck out looking his first time up. This time he's got a couple of runners on base and no out so far here in the top of the fourth inning. Another chance for the Mooseheads. They weren't able to take advantage of squares around a bunt, but pulls it back and takes a pitch outside. 1-0. Have to send a big shout out to my producer as well, Dixon Cho, helping me out with things on the scoreboard there when I miss them. This time he does get the bunt down. And the only play is to first base, so Como with the sacrifice, 1-3 on the putout, gets runners over to second and third, and hey, look, Dixon, this time I actually remembered to move the runners myself. It's the first game of the tournament, folks. We're still working out a few of the kinks. That'll bring up the number 9 hitter, Teddy Como, the DH. He grounded out to short his first time up. Even remembered to add the out. A little late, but that one fouled off. As the two number 34s battling it out here. Neil Walton, the pitcher. Teddy Como, the DH. And here comes the pitch. Misses a little bit inside. And I believe we're at a count of 2-1. Based on what I've seen from the umpire, I think that's what he's got the count at. That one fouled back, and way up high. And I believe we're now at a count of 2-2. Oh, no, 2-1. Or 1-2, excuse me. The 1-2 pitch comes from Walton, and he gets Como to chase. Fourth K of the afternoon for Walton. Brings us back around to the top of the order, Chris Head. 2 plate appearances and a single and a walk to show for it. Got around all the way to third base both times, but was stranded there both times back in the first and third innings. First pitch misses outside, and Head ahead in the count. They're into the top of the fourth inning over at Jerry Marsh Field as well. Islanders continue to lead the Sun Devils 2-0 as there's a called strike delivered by Walton. Runners at second and third. 2 away and a big swing and a miss there from Head. This is 3 of the 4 innings that the Mooseheads have gotten a runner all the way to third base. And depending on how the rest of this afternoon plays out, they may look at this as squandered opportunities if they're not able to take advantage of one soon. That one doesn't miss by much, but it does miss the corner, and the count goes to 2-2. So you know that the Mooseheads starting to feel the pressure maybe a little bit here of these missed opportunities, needing to take advantage of it here in the top of the 4th inning. But they're not able to, as a 5th strikeout of the day from Walton brings the threat to an end. No runs, no hits, 2 errors and 2 runners left on base. The Mooseheads have now left 7 runners on base through the first 4 innings, and no runs to show for it with those 7 runners left on base. We'll head to the bottom of the 4th, and we'll head to the top of the order for Elmwood. Nathan Christiuk, Kyle Armstrong, and Dan Carter due up for the Giants.
That's a cross you got to bear.
You had a paint or plumb or some wiring yet?
I'm trying to teach him. He couldn't afford me. Yeah. Can't afford anybody, James, but that's all right. They got the countertop in.
Should mention as well really quickly that this is one of multiple national championship tournaments that are taking place this week at Baseball Canada. And throughout the weekend, we'll do what we can to try to keep you up to date on what's going on in the other ones. So just to give you a quick rundown of what these other events are that are taking place this weekend. In Windsor, Ontario, it is the 13U National Championship. In Summerside, PEI, it's the 16U Girls. As a first pitch strike taken there by Christiuk. Here, of course, we've got the Men's Championships, and there's the Ray Carter Cup, the 15U Boys Championships in Saskatoon, all taking place this weekend. That one drops in for Christiuk, and the Giants get their first base runner of the afternoon with a leadoff single for the catcher for the Manitoba champions. That'll bring up Kyle Armstrong. He fouled out to the pitcher his first time up. And again, runner going on the first pitch. Throw down. Not in time. So Christiuk with the steal. And aggressiveness on the base paths for the Giants. First chance they get. Literally the first pitch with a runner on. The first chance they get. And Christiuk goes down to second base. That pitch misses high. Not often you see a catcher leading the way for things like steals. But that's what we have here for the Giants. That one sent out to right field, getting over and making the catch is Turple. And the ball not hit deep enough for Christiuk to be able to tag up. That'll bring up Dan Carter, the third baseman. He grounded out to the shortstop his first time up. That ground out to Thibodeau ended the first inning. So runner on second and one away here in the bottom of the fourth. Ball one to Carter. As we talked about, Shriver not missing with his first pitch to a batter very often, but he does there. Second pitch catches the inside corner, and the count goes 1-1. Carter reacted like it was maybe a little bit inside. And Schreider, trying to see if he could catch Chrischuk a little bit off the bag. That one, what a catch out in center field. Ball thrown in, and they'll double him off. What a play out in center field. Chris Head with the diving catch and gets the ball in. The liner out and then doubling off Chrischuk. No runs, one hit, no errors, nobody left on base. And we'll head to the fifth, still looking for the first run of this ball game. And it was what a play out there in center field. My goodness. All right, we'll head to the fifth. Due up for the Mooseheads, it's going to be Thibodeau, Doucette, and McKinley. And just a quick look at the out of town, or the other diamond over at Jerry Marsh Field, elsewhere here in the beautiful Cape Breton Regional Municipality, which consists of Sydney and the surrounding area. Still 2-0 for the Charlottetown Goody Auto Body Islanders. And if you're looking at the Game Changer website, they're listed as the New Brunswick representatives, but of course Charlottetown is in Prince Edward Island. The reason being that the Islanders play in a league of teams from New Brunswick. Chris Thibodeau leading off here for Dartmouth in the top of the fifth. He's 0 for 2, flew out to center, flew out to left. But yeah, the Charlottetown Islanders are the New Brunswick representative by virtue of the fact that they play in a league that is, other than them, all teams from New Brunswick. So there's a strike to Thibodeau. The count goes to 1-1. And it looks like Dartmouth, the manager, stopped at the plate on his way over to the third base coach's box. So I think we're going to see a couple of changes here in this top of the fifth inning. A couple pinch hitters perhaps. Try and keep you up to speed on those as they happen. That one misses inside, and now it's 3-1. Walton continuing to work. Actually, no, there's been a pitching change. Now pitching, it is Anthony Friesen. So I didn't. So Walton finishes off after 4 innings. Anthony Friesen comes in to pitch. That one out to the outfield again, high in the air. Getting over and underneath it is Moffat. And so that's the first out of the top of the fifth inning. That'll bring up Ty Doucette. He walked in the first, singled in the third, so he's 1 for 1 with... now we got a quick meeting between the two coaches over... Not quite sure what's happening over there. Whatever it is, it looks like it's been squared away and we're ready to resume. So Doucette fouls that one off and then loses the handle on the bat. Ball goes off of the mask of Christiuk and then one way, and the bat of Doucette goes flying off the other way. The Islanders, meanwhile, have broken it open a little bit in the top of the fourth inning over at Jerry Marshfield against Kamloops. 3 more runs in the top of the fourth. They now lead 5-0 over the team representing British Columbia. Another one fouled off, out of play down the third base side. So 0-2 count here now on Doucette. That one misses low and the count goes 1-2. One away here, top of the fifth inning, still no score. That one misses high and inside, and it's now 2-2. Swing and a miss. Strike 3. And that'll be the first K for Anthony Friesen. That'll bring up Anthony McKinley, the second baseman, with 2 away. As the lefty delivers the ball, sent right back to him. And good athleticism there from Friesen, getting off the mound, making the play and throwing it over to first. For just the second 1-2-3 inning that the Mooseheads have put up. And so we'll go to the bottom of the fifth with the score remaining. Goose eggs on both sides. And it's going to be Norkey, Pritchard, and Moffat due up for Elmwood. Still Schreider out there on the mound for the Mooseheads going into his fifth inning of work. We've gotten to this 0-0 tie with 2 very different ways to get there, though. The Mooseheads 3 times in their 5 innings have had runners reach third base. The Giants, meanwhile, have had 1 runner get on, and he ended up getting doubled off. That was just the last inning, as Nathan Christiuk led off with a single, but then off of the catch by Chris Head on the line drive, and then the quick up and throw into second base to double off Christiuk. That'll bring up Chris Norkey. He grounded out to second his first time up. As as that pitch misses. So Norkey, the left-handed hitting right fielder, grounds that one down to second. Gathered in easily by McKinley. And that's twice now that Norkey has grounded out to McKinley. That'll bring up Steve Pritchard, the left fielder. He struck out his first time up, one of 3 strikeout victims so far for Cody Schreider. And he takes the first pitch strike, the count 0-1. And it's now 1-1. The 1-1 pitch. Breaking ball in for a strike, and it's 1-2. On the Elmwood Giant left fielder. Wind blowing a little bit from right to left. That one misses outside. It's 2-2. Not really much of a wind to speak of. It won't have a big impact on any balls, and hasn't had a big impact on any balls so far. There's a swing and a miss. Strike 3, 4th K for Schreider. And that's the second out of the bottom of the 5th inning. Brings up Chris Moffitt. He is one of those 4 strikeout victims that we've talked about. This time fouls off the first pitch, pulls it down the third base side, right at his third base coach. So again, Schreider ahead in the count here, 0-1. Swing and a foul tip off the glove of Como, and the count 0-2. And as we've been talking about, Schreider not only facing the minimum amount of batters so far, that one just pulled foul as it was out of the reach of Jalen Schreider, but just a little bit too much of a hook on that one. As I was talking about, Schreider very efficient with his pitch count so far. That pitch just misses. He had Moffitt thinking about it, but Moffitt able to hold the bat back enough, and it's now 1-2. Swing and a miss. And that's 5 Ks now for Schreider. And the familiar story, no runs, no hits, no errors, nobody left on base. We've played 5 complete. And still looking for the first run of this ball game. So due up in the top of the 6th, it'll be Colby Turple, Jalen Schreider, and Jack Fader to face Anthony Friesen for his second inning of work. And I don't believe there have been any other defensive changes to this point. I'm more used to doing age group baseball where there are constantly defensive changes and players subbing in and then back out again, and I'm always paranoid that I'm going to miss a change somewhere, but looks like everything is status quo to this point. So we'll get Colby Turple up to bat for his 3rd plate appearance of the afternoon. Turple walked in the 1st, flew out to left in the 3rd, and leads off here in the top of the 6th with this game still looking for its first run. Dartmouth with 7 runners left on base. The Giants, no runners left on base. That one misses high and goes off the tip of the glove of Christiuk. And the 1-0 count. That one fouled way back up and out of play. And Friesen now has a 1-1 count on the Dartmouth right fielder. The Islanders still batting in the top of the 4th. They've scored 5 runs so far in that inning to open up a 7-0 lead. Swing and a miss by Turple here, and it's now 1-2 the count. And here comes that 1-2 pitch. Sent right back at Friesen, and he's able to walk the ball over and then softly toss it to Brett Boudreau for the first out of the inning. That'll bring up Jalen Trider. Trider grounded out in the 1st, was hit by a pitch in the 4th, so technically 0 for 1, but the on-base percentage at .500. First pitch misses, ball 1. That one skied foul and well out of play, so the count now 1-1. And it looks like the worst of the cloud coverage has blown away, knock on wood. Hopefully that'll continue to stay. The worst of it will continue to stay away from us. That pitch catches the corner, 1-2 on Trider. Swing and a miss. And second strikeout for Friesen. 4, 5, 7th strikeout overall by Giant pitching. That'll bring up Jack Fader. He grounded out to second in the 2nd and walked in the 4th. So 0 for 1 with a walk. That pitch misses. And Fader ahead in the count, 1-0. Skied out to left field, deep, but not deep enough. Back to get it at the track is Pritchard. So a loud out there, and another 1-2-3 inning. No runs, no hits, no errors, nobody left on base. We'll go to the bottom of the 6th. And still no score between. Yeah. As we head to the bottom of the 6th, it's going to be Brett Boudreau, Garrett Popplestone, and Colton Boudreau due up. And it looks like it is going to be Cody Schreider. And it looks like this is going to be Schreider's game. And why not? He's faced the minimum number of batters through the first 5 innings. Oop. There we go. Get that back down to a 0 for the outs. As the tunes of the great Jimmy Buffett being played here at Susan McEachern Memorial Field. Everybody at home, get your shaker of salt ready. As my wife Karen, operating the third base camera, dance a little bit over there. Oh, if you can't have fun at the ballpark, where can you have fun? And if you can't have fun while Jimmy Buffett's singing, then really where can you have fun? And you put those two together, it's the absolute ultimate. Yeah, I got my moods when I'm in a Jimmy Buffett mood, and I got my moods when I'm in a Ozzy Osbourne mood. And once Jimmy starts playing in between innings, it's easy to get into that mode. There's a first pitch strike as the story continues. Brett Boudreau flew out to center his first time up. And I just got asked by the local PA announcer here for the update on that BC game so that he can give it to the fans here. Meanwhile, the check down to the first base ump, whether Boudreau swung on that pitch, it turns out he did not. So I just had to send that message down to Patrick. And there's a ball 4, and just the second base runner of the day for the Elmwood Giants. That'll bring up Garrett Popplestone. He kind of flew out, kind of lined out to center field. His first time up. And takes the first pitch strike. 0-1. And a curveball in for a strike there. It's now 1-1. Boudreau holding at first base, unlike Chrischuk, who, when he got on to lead off the fourth, was running with the first pitch. And this time a throw over to make sure that Boudreau doesn't get too far off of the bag there. But Boudreau, not a very dangerous lead, certainly right now. Not venturing too far away from the bag. That pitch misses, and it's 2-1 on Popplestone. Popplestone sets, as does Schreider. Schreider delivers, and that ball bounces out of play. That ball gets a little bit away from Como, but not far enough for Boudreau to advance, and the count 2-2. Here comes the 2-2 pitch, sent out to left field, but lined up for it perfectly was Fader. Barely had to take more than 2 or 3 steps to get in position for that one. That'll bring up Colton Boudreau. He fouled out to the first baseman, Doucette, his first time up. 1 on, 1 out. And I'm a little slow on the upkeep. Here we go. 1 on, 1 out in the bottom of the 6th. And 1 ball, the count on Boudreau. That one misses outside, and it's 2-0. I can't think of... Oh, there might have been one other 2-0 count that Schreider has given up. There was one other 2-0 count that Schreider has given up so far in this ball game, and we're 1 away here in the bottom of the 6th inning. He has just been absolutely phenomenal, and he sends that one in for a strike on the outside corner. Painting the corner with that one. absolutely gem. Grounded down the third baseline, foul, and just like that, it's 2-2. And Schreider has evened up the count. Here comes the 2-2 pitch. And curveball catches Boudreau looking. 6 strikeouts now for Schreider through 5 2/3 innings. That'll bring up Nathan Krischuk. He was caught looking back in the first, leading off the game, and then singled in the fourth, and then was doubled off after that great catch by Head out in center field. First pitch misses low, ball 1. Here comes the 1-0. And for just the third time in the game, now a 2-0 count. Elmwood giant batter. Swing and a miss. And the count goes 2-1. I think if you were to ask the coaching staff of the Mooseheads if they'd be okay with the pitching performance they've gotten from Schreider, they'd say absolutely. The one thing they'd like to see now is to get a little bit of run support for him. Of course, right now with the Giants batting, that's not in play at the moment, but will be in the top of the 7th. There's a slow bouncer to second base, and a quick little flip over from McKinley to Doucette, and that'll finish things. No errors, and the one runner left on. Anything away from the job that the pitchers have done on the Elmwood side. You put together what Walton did and what Friesen has done so far in his 2 innings of work, and they've had a great performance as well. I mean, yes, Walton got himself into trouble a couple of times, 3 times having runners reach third base, but he was able to line. And then after the pitching change in the fifth, it's been 6 up, 6 down for Friesen. The scoreboard. And he sends it deep into the left field corner. Going to fall. So a long, loud strike. All right, folks, we are back here in the bottom of the 7th inning. We apologize for the technical issues we had, and while we were away, another great play out in center field by Chris Head, and then just as we came back, a near disaster between Head and the left fielder Jack Fader, but Fader able to make the catch, so there are now 2 away in the bottom of the 7th inning, still tied at goose eggs, and Chris Norkey, who's 0 for 2, up to bat. And again, the issues. First pitch misses just inside, ball 1. Try and get, okay. There we go. We got the scoreboard updated. There's a strike at the count now, 1-1. Meanwhile, they're into the bottom of the 5th over at Jerry Marsh Field over in New Waterford, part of the Cape Breton Regional Municipality. That pitch misses low, and it's 9-0 for the, or 3-1 now the count on Norkey, as 9-0 the lead for the Charlottetown Goody Auto Body Islanders over the Kamloops Sun Devils. That one pulled hard out to right field, going, and gone! The home run for Chris Norkey. And just like that, with one swing of the bat, we get the first run of the ball game. And just like that, we get the last run of the ball game as well. A walk-off 2-out home run in the bottom of the 7th inning. And so the Elmwood Giants, with 2 out in the bottom of the 7th, a solo shot by right fielder Chris Norkey, enough to get them the victory. You can't help but feel bad for Cody Schreider, as he did everything you could ask for. 6 2/3 innings of brilliant pitching, 1 run on 2 hits, and 1 walk, 6 strikeouts. But the final score, Elmwood 1, Dartmouth 0. That's our final for our opening game here at the 2022 Baseball Canada Men's National Championship Tournament. We'll be back at 7:30 with the host team, the Sydney Sooners, taking on the St. John's Cardinals. Until then, on behalf of my awesome producer, Dixon Cho, and on behalf of my wonderful camera person, my wife, Karen, this is Michael Petter saying, may your pitches hit the corners and may your liners clear the fence. Thanks for watching. We'll be back with you in about an hour and a little less than an hour and a half.